The real meme, and there was an undercurrent of this that I think is actually true, and it's kind of funny. I think the real reason why Biden and the Democrats did as well as they did on this debt ceiling negotiation is because Republican voters just don't give a right now about economic issues. I would not trust any article right now predicting on who's going to win on Trump or DeSantis, because we have no idea what it's going to look like when these two guys start to unload cum loads on each other. But in going over like the videos for this conversation, the things I'm hearing, like in regards to the debt ceiling, I was like, there are no wins for Democrat, none, zero. Biden hates the middle class. Well, sure, the Democrats and the Republicans are on the same goddamn team. Democrats just give McCarthy gift after gift after gift after gift. Do you really think that like a Republican administration would more or less do the same thing as like a Democratic administration or a Democrat administration?
So with an asterisk, yes. So like, for example,
I'm glad I did the policy research on the debt ceiling stuff. That was really important, or I would have been completely snowballed in that argument. But I'm glad I knew the specifics on everything. I don't know how to when we start getting into a world where we're like Biden wants to do nothing and Democrats want to do nothing, without getting like ultra autistic into like, well, let's go to the research. I need to figure out better ways to counter those types of arguments, because it's like, do you really truly believe that Republicans and Democrats do the same stuff? Like, that's just so not true. That's almost self-evidently not true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. The Democrats and Republicans are the same stuff as insanity, and you can't argue with it. Yeah, but there should be some way. You need to go in depth on his narrative about corporate donors. The problem is that like the research on that is super unintuitive, and it's honest to God, it's really, really, really hard to prove through data that that like politicians are bought and paid for. That's such a hard data point to argue about. And like I said, you got to get really into the weeds on like, well, what does the research say? What does it mean to say that like a donor is bought or anything? Sam Harris tried to go in depth and he just pivots. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really, really hard debate to get into. Unless the person wants to, if they're like a nerd and they want to like start getting into the. You just asked him to justify the differences he's acknowledged. You repeatedly got Cenk to admit Biden's done some good shit. So if he thinks Biden wants the same things as Republicans to, yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. Please explain to chat why you think Trump is a fascist. The biggest hallmark, the biggest two hallmarkers for me is that Trump wanted single person rule. Trump wanted to be able to rule with a pen. He wanted to be able to do everything on his own. Number one, he had no respect for political process. And then two, this kind of goes along with it. I don't think Trump has respect for rule of law. He wants to bend the rule of law to suit his particular needs. In my opinion, those two things, and like a disdain for liberal values, those things make you like essentially a fascist. He wasn't actually, because he couldn't. I think for whatever reason, the guardrails on U.S. democracy were, I guess, stronger than we all thought. But goddamn, did he try? Things like getting Pence to overturn the vote, things like talking about arresting political opponents, revoking citizenship from people that disrespected the flag, getting the Supreme Court to give him an okay to go and do border policy, trying to ban groups of people from this country for U.S. security reasons when it was just race-based, calling Georgia to find the votes he needed to flip that election, undermining the integrity of our electoral process, constantly talking about how the fact that the ballots were going to be rigged, constantly playing into the narrative that the election was like all of these things are like fascist in nature, in my opinion. Authoritarian, ultra-nationalist, ultra-isolationist, ultra-populist, like, yeah, fuck. But did he give ground on literally anything at all? He would say things like, yeah, like Biden has done good, but, and then he would do whatever. I don't think I pulled But I was also short on time too. This is one of the reasons why I don't like these like formal debates as much with like actual political figures. This is how I feel like when I talked about how like I wouldn't care about debating like Ben Shapiro or whatever, and it sounds like I'm just like saying that because I think I would lose whatever. The reason is because I don't like this format. Like it would have been really interesting to fight for 3 hours on the debt ceiling bill. That would have been, we could have gone back and forth for 3 hours on that. We probably had gone back and forth on Rittenhouse for 3 hours. Trying to cram all of this into an hour conversation sucks. And it feels like, because we got a little deeper than I would expect like most mainstream people to get, but it almost started to feel like I hate mainstream political debates where two people go back and forth for 20 minutes over like 7 broad topics. And it's like, okay, well, what was the point of this conversation? But why couldn't you get a longer convo? Brianna got me this convo. I'm surprised I got any convo at all. I mean, I'm grateful for the time I get, but. You think you did good managing aggression versus passiveness? I think so. I think I was fairly aggressive, but fairly polite. Maybe I could have been a little more aggressive. He started to get a little bit more upset towards the end, so I don't know if I could have gotten much more aggressive. I think it might have gotten but anyway, I'm glad I did I'm glad I did the debt ceiling homework, but oh geez. All right, well, anything else? He seemed to have low tolerance. Yeah, once he started to get pushed a bit on the Rittenhouse stuff, he started to get irritated. He fell back on that, like through a plastic bag talking points multiple times, and I was about to get triggered. I love how you brought up mainstream media when you mentioned exclusively alt media when talking about the debt shit. I almost went back on that. I was like, 538 is not mainstream media. Ben Shapiro is not even mainstream media. Pod Save America is not mainstream media. Paul Krugman is an economist. You know, you had 2 huge gifters. Did I miss something? I'm so sorry. I also don't know. Some of the self-defense fighting shit is also hard for me. When people just say things like, okay, like, I don't know what to say to you, getting hit by a skateboard isn't a big deal. And it's like, I could kill you with a skateboard. And I don't think I'm a particularly strong Melina could probably kill somebody with a skateboard. Skateboards are pretty heavy and pretty sturdy enough to kill somebody with. That's such a strange talking point to me. I don't know if they think we're just talking like fingerboards. I feel like when leftists start talking about self-defense, you get into really weird territory. It's like, it's just a skateboard. And it's funny too, because honest to God, let's see how delusional this sounds. Based on what I've seen, I think I would rather have somebody attack me with a baseball bat than a skateboard. Based on what I've seen. I don't know, dude. Skateboards are pretty heavy. If you slant them and you use them the edge, I feel like you can some shit up with that. I don't know, dude. That's scary. I mean, I wouldn't want to be attacked with either, but I don't know, dude. We need to start researching baseball attacks versus skateboard attacks. Who's gotten killed more? Your threshold for firing a gun is very low. Life advice: if you ever try to take somebody's gun from them, there's a chance that they're going to kill you. That's a decent threshold. If you're trying to grab a gun from somebody, you're basically saying that, like, listen, you've got the ability to kill me. I'm going to take that away, and maybe I'll kill you. Like, when you start grabbing for people's guns, that's like step 1 to getting killed. Like step 2 is like getting shot. Like, take the gun, try to get you, and you're gonna get killed. Like, yeah. You showed really good restraint in this convo. Also, does Hassan know you are hanging out with Uncle? Thanks, Daniel Tan. I don't know. Good one, Nicholas. $10. Hey, I work in campaign finance, lobbying, and political compliance. If you ever want to chat about legal arguments against politics being bought, let me know. Thanks, Lillian. I did a bunch of reading and research for that part of the debate, but that part of the debate is like, it's very, very, very data driven. And it's very like, well, this policy said this, Gillen said this. Here's the 3 rebuttals to Gillen's. People talk about corporate finance, or I'm not corporate finance. People talk about like stock trades. Well, here's the, 2 studies that have to go into like, do they trade stock better than like, but it's like, that's like very like, what does the study say? What does the study say? And I feel like, for Cenk and what they do, they mainly deal in kind of like narrative, like story based, like, oh, well, these politicians taking bribes, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah. Care to comment about the 14th Amendment take? Some people think that you can take the 14th Amendment and just use that to say you can always pay the debt. I don't, but I mean, I don't think anybody takes it seriously. It's like, oh yeah, this is an easy to do political thing. Nobody, I don't think I found anybody that was willing to say like, oh yeah, you could definitely do that, no problem. The issue is that you could try it, maybe, but the country's going to default on the debt while we wait for that legal challenge, and it's just not even worth it. Why gamble with the fate of the world economy? Tell people to subscribe. Oh yeah, subscribe to my YouTube channel. When you said there was a 20% chance you'd die, and he said, yeah, I'll take that chance. Yeah, I don't know. That was wild to me. A skateboard attack. Holy shit. Reach out to V Radio if you want to dive more into Rittenhouse. You did a great doc on it. I don't even want to talk about Rittenhouse. I just think Rittenhouse is a good case study. I think that the three things of the Jacob Blake shooting into the Rittenhouse shooting, into the Rittenhouse shooting, those three things I think link together to tell a very problematic story about alternative media, where you have the Jacob Blake coverage initially was bad. People took a video that was too short and they drew bad conclusions.
Cops in Wisconsin shot a black man several times in the back as he calmly walked into his own vehicle. His 3 children were in the car as he was shot in close range. The witnesses who were there before the police were called to the scene said that Jacob Blake, that was the victim here, had broken up a fight between 2 women in the neighborhood. And even though it's unclear what happened immediately before the video we see, what is absolutely clear is that Blake did not pose any type of imminent threat to the cops. In fact, the video that we're about to show you, as graphic as it is, makes it very obvious that he was not the aggressor. The cop who shot him several times in the back was.
To be fair, the video does look bad, but to be fairer, this is why I always say, wait for the full video, guys. This video being released and covered like it was, like how the Young Turks are covering it, this is the reason why Kenosha burned, and it's the reason why 2 people were killed and 1 person was shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. You can draw a direct line straight from A. You're not even going from A to B. You're going from like A to like A.5, like in between. You don't even have to go that far. Like, it is the reason why those riots happened, and it is the reason why Rittenhouse ended up shooting and killing, why 2 people ended up dying that night. That led to the Kenosha riots, and it did. The Kenosha riots happened because of the bad coverage for the Jacob Blake stuff. And during the Kenosha riots, Rittenhouse ends up shooting and killing 2 people, shoots a third who is injured. Everybody on the left covers that and pans that universally as being horrible and evil. And then when Rittenhouse shoots the Patriot Prayer guy, a lot of the people on the left are like, I think that guy was threatening him, despite the fact that there's no video evidence of it whatsoever, despite the fact that we have contrary video evidence of Rittenhouse stalking and then running out in front of that Trump guy to shoot him. And despite the fact that Rittenhouse doesn't turn himself into the cops, he runs back to his home, gives an interview to Vice, and then the marshals find him, a few days later, and they shoot and kill him. I don't know. I think that those three things, those events link together in a really negative way. Oh, we didn't get to talk about Ukraine at all, but yeah. On a more serious note, the corruption in politics point is one where Cenk had a solid argument. Fundamentally, things don't get done because major financial powers often dictate the bipartisan issues. I mean, I disagree, but Ian Norman, $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Giorgio of Sparta. I love and support you. You should talk to ContraPoints next if she ever wants to. I don't think she wants to. Why do you think lefties have such delusional takes on self-defense? I don't think lefties have delusional takes on self-defense at all. I actually think that 99% of people's moral intuitions line up pretty well. I think lefties generally have really good takes on self-defense. It just depends on who's getting attacked. But that's the same for people on the right as well. Our morals are very flexible when they're applied to people that we don't like. But most of us have pretty good moral leanings, moral intuitions when they're applied to people that we do like. For instance, I didn't see a single lefty ever saying that it might have been a bad idea for Breonna Taylor's boyfriend to shoot at the police officers that were trying to do a no-knock on the house. And by the way, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, shot first to the cops. I haven't heard a single leftist criticize him for doing that. But you know, I mean, so I think people have an understanding of self-defense. We just feel differently depending on who's defending versus who. Cenk lost all credibility in the skateboard thing. He knows it's a plank of wood, strong enough to, not just wood, but wood and metal too. Skateboards are not just like, it's not just like a little piece of wood, right? Or at least the ones that I've seen are. I don't know, maybe I've seen hard skateboards. I don't know, maybe skateboards are, I don't skate that much. I don't know, hold on, what am I saying? I don't skate at all. I've only seen like a few skateboards in my life. I've known a couple friends that skate, but he knows it's a plank of wood strong enough to support a human with metal at the end. Oh yeah, you can easily kill someone by hitting him in the face with one on the first try. Nirvana says, Destiny, the Castle shooting was a bad one, but it wasn't because they smelled weed. The story was more complex than that. Was it? Because when I've tried to look at the Philando Castile thing, all I've seen is the footage of the guy saying, hey, just so you know, I've got a gun license. And the police officer said that when he went up to the car, he was scared and then he smelled weed and then he fired. If there was more to that story, I never saw it anywhere. I didn't miss it. Or I'm sorry, I missed it completely. If there was more to the Philando story, I would love to hear. I've never heard more to that. That seemed like a clear cut. The cop was in the fucking wrong on that one. And insanely in the wrong. Feel like Cenk and Co. just can't accept small gains or compromise blunting Republican goals as a win. My way or the highway is no good when living and participating in the real world. Yeah, I think that's an issue because like we live in our system is built around bipartisanship. Like you have to rule with both sides, agreeing to rule, especially when the Congress is so heavily divided as it is today. The debate on bipartisanship seemed like a W for Cenk. I don't know how it could possibly be a W for Cenk. Like Biden was bipartisan and he got passed more major legislation than how many fucking recent presidents did. Like Biden was bipartisan. He got I think I brought up historic amounts of energy for green energy. The American Recovery Plan was amazing. The IRA, I keep thinking the Irish fucking bullshit. The Inflation Reduction Act had good stuff in it too. Like, you can say bipartisanship is bad, but I mean, bad in how? Biden has done more than Trump with slimmer margins. Like, what do you think of Daniel Perry, the Uber driver who shot Garrett Foster in self-defense? He approached the car with an AK-47. That was the one I saw, like the outside video of that. I don't know if there's ever going to be video good enough for me to have a strong opinion on that one though. I think we watched a little bit of that, but I don't think there's enough for me to have a strong opinion on it. Agree more political talks like this now that election season is ramping up. Yeah, people want to. Destiny, there's literally nothing fundamentally good about bipartisanship. This is the issue that I have right now. Okay. What fucking article did we read? There was a list of, was it No Opinion? It is problematic that so many of our big gains in civil rights have come from the Supreme Court. We've lost the ability to pass legislation that is important to Americans. That is not good. We have to be able to do that. We have to stop relying on the Supreme Court to write legislation for us. We have to stop relying on the executive orders from the president to do policy for us. If that means being more bipartisan, then we be more bipartisan. But we have to stop relying on the executive and the judicial for legislation. That's just, despite everything, do you feel like Cenk was pretty cool to you? Yeah, Cenk was super polite. Yeah, and we went over time and everything. He seems like a nice guy. I mean, I think he feels like a very like East Coast guy. I don't know where he's from initially, but he seems like a cool dude. Cenk seems like the kind of guy that you could like scream at like over a meal over like politics shit and you'd be cool afterwards. That's what he seems like. I don't know if that's the case or not, but love the content. Just watch your debate with Red Pill Godfather. I've been wanting to learn more on the subject. Any recs on books / entering studies? I think I posted an outline for that debate. That was an outline I was proud of, but Cenk studied in UPenn and Columbia. He's literally an Ivy League guy. Gotcha. Asking, a lot of people don't vote because they believe R's and D's are the same. Please use your rhetoric skills to vote against. Yeah, I mean, I try to, yeah. I'm a TYT fan, but as a black guy, I do appreciate putting out the false equivalences with the racist cop narratives. We need to stop coddling true criminals just because they're black. Yeah, the, well, I fear, I don't fear it, actually. I feel free. I feel free, okay? I've shed my, the id pull part of me. Coming into the next politics season, we're gonna trash on the crazy id poll shit, because it has gotten unbelievable, and it is just at a when I argue with people, we're gonna force people. You need to take a real position beyond the fact that white supremacy and white colonialism control every single fucking aspect of your life. Okay, I've never seen people controlled more by the white men than people that see white supremacy in every single facet of society. Okay, that shit is cringe, and it needs to fucking stop. And I'll be happy going into the next political season that I don't have to be shackled by the chains of seeing fucking white demons everywhere. Oh my god, it's exhausting the way that people navigate those conversations. Holy Christ. I'm gonna go over the Kyle footage again. Kyle was hit by the skateboard. It wasn't an attempt. He only shot the guy when the skater guy pulled his gun. Is that true? Hold on, I thought gun guy was a separate guy from the skater guy. But I don't want to go over all the Rittenhouse shit again. Fuck, dude, that's a long time ago. Skater guy was a different guy, I believe. Yeah. For 2024, you need to focus on why Republicans should not have power, man. Get over the white supremacy shit. You need to focus on the right things for 2024. Shapiro's going to go hard on the left. Need solid counters. The thing is, it's hard to give a counter right now for Republican shit, because Republicans have no platform. Republican platforms are, we need to get rid of all the transes and the gayses, and maybe abortion, I guess, if they want to lose more elections. Republicans have the real meme. And there was an undercurrent of this that I think is actually true, and it's kind of funny. I think the real reason why Biden and the Democrats did as well as they did on this debt ceiling negotiation is because Republican voters just don't give a right now about economic issues. Ben Shapiro ranks the most woke corporations. 1 day ago, 300,000 views. The truth behind the debt ceiling agreement, 5 days ago, 186,000 views. Republicans do not give a about policy, dude.
Well, it's always going to happen.
Republican voters don't give a about fiscal budgets. They don't give a about the IRS funding. They don't care about SNAP or TAMP or any of the fucking entitlements. They don't give a fuck about green energy. Republicans right now want to get rid of puberty blockers for trans kids, and they want to get rid of gay books from high schools. That's that's the only thing. Every single Republican voter right now is just waiting for the next fucking Daily Wire or Tucker Carlson to tweet some shit show me when the next book banning is. What did DeSantis say about banning gay Winnie the Pooh from my fucking grade schoolers class? I live in California, by the way. People that have nothing, that just feels that's where all the Republican mind power is being used right now. Not to say it might change in a year or two when they start running for Congress, or not Congress, I'm sorry, when the presidential elections come up. Not a year or two, but a year, but yeah, within a year. The Trump DeSantis fight is going to be fucking insane. They're still happy to hear about cuts to the government. They just care even less about the details. Yeah, maybe. Well, I think that the rhetoric for the Republican Party is probably going to be set by the dissent, largely, I think, unless another big economic disaster happens, it's probably going to be set by the Trump DeSantis rhetoric. Here's a relevant article on why Trump beats DeSantis. I would not trust any article right now predicting on who's going to win on Trump or DeSantis, because we have no idea what it's going to look like when these two guys start to unload cum loads on each other. We have no clue what that's going to look like. It might be the case that DeSantis fucking folds immediately, because he's a 5'7" meatball pastrami guy and he just can't handle it, and he has the charisma of a fucking cat in a wet paper bag. That might be the case that DeSantis folds immediately. But here's a little something to keep in the back of your mind that I don't know if Trump is going to be ready for. All of the establishment media is probably going to be against Trump. I don't think Fox News is going to be siding with Trump heavily on this. Number one. And number two, I don't know how much of the alternative Republican or conservative media is going to be siding with Trump. I don't know if Daily Wire is going to be taking Trump's side over DeSantis. And I'm not sure with alternative media, some alternative media will back Trump, but with alternative media and mainstream media fighting against the other alternative media supporting Trump, and with all of these like federal charges looming over Trump's head, the New York shit, any other charges that might get filed, with DeSantis and all the Republican establishment, breathing down Trump's neck, with Trump's lackluster performance in 2022. I don't know, man. Yeah, who knows? But in my mind, it's a toss-up right now. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Who could win or who couldn't? Maybe DeSantis has like, imagine somehow DeSantis, edges out some amazing political win against Disney, or imagine he has a political catastrophic loss against Disney in some lawsuit coming up or whatever, right? Maybe that sways voters on his effectiveness. Imagine Trump actually falls on some federal charges for the mishandling of the classified information stuff. Like I said, there's like so many things like hanging in the air. Who knows? It's hard to say. Thoughts on Dems running Kamala instead of Biden? Biden possibly dying? Listen, as long as Biden is, throw him in a wheelchair and win the election. That's all that needs to happen. All the alternatives to Biden on the Dem side seem like me. You're not going to run somebody against your candidate. The Democrats aren't running against Biden, and they're not going to. They shouldn't. That's stupid. People suggesting they should is dumb. I feel like Republicans get crazy every election cycle. Reagan did gun control and amnesty to illegals. Now we're denying elections. I don't know. Trump might have just been an aberration, and maybe the Republicans will go back to normal. Who knows? The context is tons and tons of unarmed black guys being shot by cops in this country. Cenk. The number. Oh yeah. I should have. I didn't want to be like an asshole, but I got to hold on. How many unarmed black guys do you think are getting killed by cops in this country, Cenk? Tons and tons and tons and tons. What is the number? But
tons and tons of unarmed black guys being shot by cops in this country.
No, there are not tons and tons of unarmed black guys being shot by cops in this country.
All right. Okay. So you don't agree with that. Okay, fine.
Well, how many do you think a year get shot? How many unarmed black guys are getting shot by cops?
Okay, Steven. Okay, let me finish the point.
Okay.
We'll wrap up.
The number's like 12, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So.
Yeah, that was kind of wacky. Oklahoma Republicans have just forced religious schools from public school funds today. Nice. Well, not nice, but okay. Anyway, yeah. Apparently Endure Dude went live. I'm tired. I'll be back tomorrow. But the I work out tomorrow morning, so I'll probably be a little late. Yeah, we'll stream tomorrow. All right, I love you guys. It's been fun. Ripperino Cappuccino. Oh, hey, White Toad. Thanks for the tier 5 sub already. Ripperino Cappuccino, Pappuccino, Hoppuccino, Moppuccino, Depuccino, Cappuccino, Appuccino, Albuccino, my Deuterinos. I will catch you guys next streamerino, which is tomorrow. Be careful, my duders.